Hello there. As we're starting a new week, this is Monday, April the 11th. We're into a new week of reading, 5 more days here over the weekend. I hope you got a chance to ponder Gideon's life. We ended last week in Judges chapter 6, that Gideon's called a mighty warrior. And today we came back and we're going to read Judges 7 and 8 and Luke 22. We ended in Gideon's beginning. You're a mighty warrior. And he went on to be a mighty warrior, doing what God had called him to do in the strength of the Lord, letting God work in him, around him, and through him to do great things. And now today we begin this week in Judges 7 and 8. And as we get to Judges 8, we see now the end of Gideon's life. In fact, the end of Judges 8 is subtitled Gideon's Death in my Bible right here. But in Judges 8, there's a little spot right before this it's very sad to me. It's heartbreaking and it's very real. It happens to us all the time. Let me paraphrase and read this just a little bit to you. In Judges 8, it begins in verse 22. Now the Israelites came to Gideon. Gideon's a little bit older. He's had some victories now. And the Israelites say, "Rule over us, you and your son and your grandson, because you saved us from the hand of the Midianites." But Gideon replies back to them. He says, "I will not rule over you, nor will my son rule over you." It's very clear. He says, "The Lord will rule over you." And he points back to God. You're like, "Yeah, good, way to go, Gideon. That's great. Good stuff, Gideon." But then Gideon says, "I do have one request, though. Give me your stuff, specifically your gold earrings." And he takes these gold earrings from the plunder. They spread out a garment. He weighed them all. He made the gold into an ephod. He placed it in Ophrah's hometown, where he lived. And then this sentence is really weird to me. It really jumps out and grabs a hold of me and says, this is different. So far, Gideon was a mighty warrior. He fought, he trusted, he led well. He refused to lead the people. He didn't want the power. He said, "The Lord will be the rulers." But he said, this one thing, "Give me your earrings." And he made an ephod. And the very last sentence right here in verse 27 says, "All Israel," and by all it means all of Israel, the entire nation, "prostituted themselves." Well, first of all, anytime it says that anybody prostituted themselves, that's not good. They prostituted themselves by worshiping it there. They gave away their devotion to God, and they gave it instead to Gideon's ephod. They gave away their trust in the Lord, and they instead trusted in Gideon's strength. They gave away this, and they worshipped instead what Gideon could produce. They prostituted themselves by worshiping it there, and it became a snare to Gideon and his family. Here's the truth. It's a hard one. And if you are a successful person, this is a truth you have to wrestle with. Your success, the good things you've accomplished, the things that you've done that are great and that are amazing, your success can actually become your downfall. Gideon, as a coward threshing wheat in a winepress, here's the Lord call him a mighty warrior, and he goes out to lead the people into glorious battle, and they win these things, and everything happens. The people of Israel are rescued from the hand of the Midianites, and the people then turn their gaze to Gideon, adoring him as they used to adore the Lord. He says, "Sir, lead us." He says, "No, God will lead you, but give me your stuff, and I'll make something really cool." He makes his ephod, this treasure. He lays it out. And the people then worship the success of Gideon. Ironically enough, every success Gideon could point to was not really his, it was God's. But somewhere, somehow, the lies of the enemy sunk in. They snuck in, and they told Gideon, "Look how good you are." And he became a god in his own might. And it became a snare, entrapping him and his family and destroying what Gideon could have experienced. If you're a successful person, if you're doing anything for God, the moment you have success, it's tempting to look to yourself and to say, "Look what I did for God, but look what I did." Because when we begin to have success, things begin to happen, things go well, people say, "Good job." And we somehow begin to hear the people saying, "Good job." And we forget to listen for God's whisper, "Well done, good and faithful servant." and we forget that it's God we're serving, not ourselves. I want this to be a caution to you. Whatever you're doing today, don't think you're doing it for God, but rather God is doing it through you. And remember, all the praise and all the honor and all the glory goes to God all the time for everything, never to yourself. Don't let Gideon's snare become a trap for you too. Stay humble, stay serving, continue loving people, and live the life the way God called you to live the life. Until we see you again, you are sent.